Pending.
Councilmember Joe DePinto,
Here.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky,
Here.
Mayor J.W. Foster.
Here. So I'll ask the council's indulgence here. Since without a quorum at this moment, we have two choices. We could cancel the meeting or we could continue the meeting for informational purposes. And then once we obtain a quorum, should Councilmember Wood join us, we could get to those action items. Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. What are some of the items that must be passed today or are highly important to pass?
So super important that 6A, the water main improvement contract gets signed because there's work pending on that. And we have pending bids to award is one. And then as Chief Stansel just pointed out, we really need to get the Capital Metro Independent Investigation Team authorized. We're the last city to sign on so that that can go forward. It's not, oh, and here we go.
James.
I think that's the whole conversation is moot. Councilmember Blair, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. So City Clerk showed that Councilmember Blair joined the meeting, and that gives us the quorum that we need. So I will ask the council to accept an amendment to the agenda as we did at the council study session. If we were to move the executive session to after the adjournment, we wouldn't have to go through that process of coming back in. We can simply adjourn. There's no action item that will result from the information being shared at the executive session. So if everybody's okay with that, I'd take a motion to amend the agenda thusly.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
By Janice Blair. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the powerful four have it. It's all up to you four tonight. Very good. With that, I'm going to move into the special presentations. And I'm looking over to see if any of the students have joined in as attendees. They have not. Thank you for trying, Grant. But as you all know, usually during Christmas in the park, the community volunteer team comes together with the community schools, and they select a number of students for very special awards that we give on as the city. And they're the 2020 Youth of the Year Community Service Award and the 2020 Youth Good Citizenship Awards. And we printed the names of the students, so last year's recipients, so that you can all see them. And as you go through them, I know you're going to recognize quite a few of those names because they've been before us as students of the month or other presentations from various organizations. But I do want to just call out the 2020 Youth of the Year are Harley Jo Holman and Natalie McLaughlin, both really outstanding students who have been participating in our community in so many ways. I'm going to hold up Harley Jo's plaque as representative of the plaques that she and Natalie will receive. Can you all see that okay? That's the city's contribution to this award. And then also the community group gives them a cash award of various amounts to celebrate their acknowledgement. And then in the 2020 Youth Good Citizenship Award category, we have Caitlin Garvey, Victoria Crow, Alexa Gully, Leilani Phillips, Kaya Ramirez, Samantha Roweter, Cassandra Shaw, and Brianna Short. And they will also receive a plaque represented by the one I have here for Kaya. So, you know, I hope that they look back on those when they're hanging on their wall someday and remember good times at Yelm Community Schools. And they certainly have represented our community well. So congratulations to those students. And we look forward to seeing them back here, as so many of our students do come back to serve Yelm. All right, thank you. So now we have the public comment period. I have received no written comments, and so I will look to the attendees, and you can either speak up or put your hand up the way Zoom lets you if you'd like to address council tonight. Okay. I'm not seeing anybody wishing to address council on matters that are not on the agenda. We'll ask again during the agenda items. So now you have item 5, which is the consent agenda, which, as you see, has the Salary Commission agenda and the minutes from December 8 and 15. With no questions or concerns, we'd have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Councilmember DePinto.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Stillwell. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all 4 voted yes. Thank you. So now we move to new business, and I believe we have, Tracy's still trying to connect in, but we do have a quorum, so we will now move to 6A, which is the Water Main Improvement Contract Award, and I believe Derek is going to present that to us.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I bring forth a request to authorize Mayor Foster to enter into a construction contract with Pape and Sons Constructing for the 2019 Water Main Improvements Project. This project gets its name because that's when the design first started in 2019, which just so happens to be the year I started with Yelm, and it was one of the first projects that was kind of assigned to me to manage. The selection of the improvements criteria, we look to get improvements loops in particular in the sections of where the Yelm loop would be going, trying to get ahead of the construction there, and where it would best improve our system. So this contract includes replacement of 302 linear feet of 12-inch diameter pipe, 6,388 linear feet of 10-inch diameter pipe, 141 linear feet of 8-inch, and 40 linear feet of 6-inch water main. There's also some asbestos concrete or AC concrete part that will be replaced and banded in place. Reconnection of 20 water services, some fire hydrants, valves, appurtenances, all accordance with attached plans and specifications from Parametrics, who was awarded the design contract and created the bid documents.
Eric, your microphone is rubbing against your collar, creating some feedback.
Is that better? Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So the bids were advertised in the Nisqually Valley News and the Seattle Daily Journal of Commerce, and then hosted on the Builders Exchange, which is our typical procedures for Yelm. And a bid opening was held on December 11th, 2020, and where we received 17 sealed bids. Bids were highly competitive. I will note that the engineer's estimate was given at $1.6 to $1.8 million, and Papes and Sons, the winnest lowest bidder, came in at $1,040,162.76. So as you can see, it was a very, very good bid for us, and well under the budget. What was planned for this project at the 1.8 million is what was budgeted going forward based upon the engineer's cost estimate. So pending any questions, or I ask that you authorize the mayor to enter into this construction contract.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with Councilmember Blair.
Just to clarify, you said these are being laid preemptively for where the loop's going to be.
So these were sections of our water system that are identified that happen to be within the area that the loop is going to be constructed. So it would be advantageous for us to get them in now rather than waiting until the loop comes through and then we're tearing up a brand new highway and having to deal with putting in infrastructure in a already constructed state highway.
Yeah. The only thing I was curious, and obviously I don't know all the processes of putting these in conjunction with roads and all that. Would it not make sense to do it around the same time, or does this really needs to be done before?
It really needs to be done before. If we push it off, couple of things. One, although it is funded and slated, knowing when exactly that construction is going to start, we would lose one of the reasons why we got such a great bid is because of the timing and construction cost is now. So pushing it off later.
Yeah,
obviously.
I wasn't sure if it like would cut down on some of the labor if you did it at the same time as when they're going to be doing whatever it is they're doing for that. But if that's not really applicable, then
Oh, it would.
saving almost 800 grand sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, it would be two separate projects and trying to run them. This is our water system that we're putting in, and we're not, building a highway at the same time. So,
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. I tried to look through the 300 plus pages of this contract. I noticed a lot of it was blank. Like they didn't talk about the business. They didn't talk about subcontractors for at least 150 pages or so. Is there a reason why a lot of that's just intentionally blank?
So I do believe that what you had in the contract was a holder, and so that was a blank. Since then, we have received, and it's sitting on the mayor's desk that it was filled out.
So, Councilmember DePino, I would ask, are you looking at the packet that we sent out to you? Because I'm reading off of that one and it's complete.
I'm looking off the agenda packet that the public can view.
Okay, so I see that there are some things like certificate of insurance isn't posted, but most of the other stuff was. But like Derek said, all of the actual written stuff is sitting right here if you want to come take a look at it prior to me signing it. But Derek, we need to have this moving forward by when?
Well, we have the pre-construction meeting set up actually for Thursday, so we're looking to get started as soon as possible. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. It's just like on page 16, it talks about completion of public works contract, talks about, just basic stuff like their name, department use, project name, just basic things like that. I would prefer in the future that it is updated so the public can go ahead and look at that information as well. I understand I have the ability to come in and see all those numbers myself, but I just like it up there for transparency.
And so again, when there is a deadline that you have to get this onto the agenda and send it up there. So at the time, the contract had been sent out for the contractor. Had been notified that they had been selected, they were the lowest bidder, and then you send them the contract for them to fill out and send back. So that blank contract that was in there was put in there as a placeholder. I received the completed contract a few days ago. I can't remember the exact date. So it's just a matter, I apologize. Usually it's slipped back in there, but
Fair enough. Thank you for the explanation.
you bet. It is available electronically and can be posted for the public if they wanted to view it.
But to be fair, Derek, I mean, some of those things like the subcontractors that Councilmember DePino is asking for in Addendum A wouldn't be even selected by the contractor until they're awarded the contract in many cases.
That's correct.
So, well, this is sort of a document that changes as the project continues, and it's over a considerable period of time that the work will be done. Derek, I did have a question just for public information. Is this project likely to interfere with any traffic or business in the area, and what kind of notification do we have to those landowners when we do things like that?
As part of the contract, there will be some traffic mitigations factors that'll come, and they'll submit a traffic control plans, and I will be sure that timely notification is given about when they'll be working in those areas.
And finally, other than perhaps some temporary disruption in business access, there's no cost to the citizens, individual residents, for these water connections that have to be reestablished and that sort of thing, correct?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Then I'd entertain a motion for the recommendation as presented. And that would be to authorize Mayor J.W. Foster to award the project to and assign the construction contract with Pape & Sons Construction of Gig Harbor, and not to exceed the amount of $1,040,162.76, which is inclusive of sale tax.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Kaminsky. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
In which case we do not have, well, actually we do. It's an interesting Robert's Rule question. I have a quorum and I have a majority of the quorum. So in that case, the contract does pass. Okay, I had to think about
Correct.
that for a second. Yeah. All right. So Derek, you have your contract. I'll sign it and have it sitting on my desk for you to pick up tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your presentation and for your work, and congratulations on your first big one.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Just for the record, I was doing some quick math in my head. This is my lucky 7th presentation. So I'm 7-0, but I don't want to rub it in.
Don't push your luck. 7-0. Good job, Derek. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Moving along on the agenda, then we will move to 6B, which is the Capital Metro Independent Investigation Team, otherwise known as CMIIT. And Chief Stansel and Assistant Chief Carlson will be presented.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
And
Council.
Chief Stansel, if there was a way for you to cozy up to your microphone just a little bit, you're always a little bit faint.
Is that better?
Not really.
I'll have to get a headset. I'll get a headset.
There, enunciate.
Okay,
There we go.
how's that? Good? Okay.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen and I will pull up the, let's see here. Pull up the presentation here, maybe. Nope, that's not it. Let me try it again. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay, can everybody see the screen okay? We're good?
Yes.
All right, so the staff report tonight is for the interlocal agreement, which establishes the Capital Metro Independent Investigation Team. I'm asking tonight for council to authorize Mayor Foster to sign the interlocal agreement between the cities of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, and Yelm, formally establishing the Capital Metro Independent Investigation Team. Just a little bit of background, this all stemmed from Initiative 940, which was originally passed in 2018 and then had a substitute House bill in 2019, dealing specifically with investigating the use of deadly force by a peace officer, which may result in death, substantial bodily harm, or great bodily harm. I-940 requires a complete independent investigation by a non-involved agency. This is something that Assistant Chief Carlson has been working on for several months, approximately the last year, for the most part of 2020. This has been in development through multiple attorney reviews, of course, city reviews. Our attorney has been involved with this from the beginning as well, to make sure that our interests are represented. Prior to this agreement, we would have always just used probably Thurston County Sheriff's Office to conduct that type of investigation should something like that happen in the city of Yelm. The issue comes into is that because of our close working relationship with Thurston County, should we get involved in an incident that results in death, substantially bodily harm, or great bodily harm, there's a very good likelihood that a Thurston County deputy would be involved with us. And so we wanted to expand the options out there for us. And so we don't have to use the Capital Metro team to conduct this investigation. We still could use Thurston County if in fact no one was involved from Thurston County. But this gives us an option. It gives us a good option. And it's something that we're proud to be a part of. And we think it's very well written and meets all the requirements of Initiative 940 without us going out there on our own and creating our own individual contracts with different cities. So it's about a 12-page contract. Again, there's no financial liability. We don't have to use the team if we don't want to. It literally just gives us an option to be a part of this team and to meet the requirements of 940 should we have the unfortunate happening to have something that significant happen with the young police officer. So we originally brought this to council to study session in December, where we have gone through it. And then this also went to our public safety committee on at least 2 or 3 occasions where we went through it as well. So I would love to take any questions anyone may have.
Councilmember Pino.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Chief, I read through your briefing. It looks good. I would entertain. I'm not going to entertain. I will make a motion to approve this. Sorry, I'm doing this horribly. I moved to approve this agenda item. Could you scroll up a little bit, Chief?
Yeah,
I'm looking off yours.
Is that good?
Just the top. Yes, thank you. I moved to approve the interlocal agreement establishing the Capital Metro Independent Investigation Team.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have our CMIIT authorization. I will sign that hard copy if you get it over to me, Chief, and we'll get that into the team. Thank you for your presentation. And Rob, thank you. Excuse me, Assistant Chief Carlson. Thank you for your work on this. I know there were a lot of moving parts, so appreciate you getting it done.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Nice to have something in the library that we will never use.
Yes, hopefully.
I'm going to queue up Tammy here. I just want to make sure council is aware. The 2 next items can be a little confusing, but I do want to, and I apologize, Tammy, if I'm stealing all of your thunder, but you have 2 separate items here. One is for a request of waiver of the fee by the appellant. And then the second is going to be an explanation of the closed record hearing that the city council will entertain on the 26th. There's no action on the second item tonight. It's information for you. And Tammy, since we haven't done this in a very long time, and certainly this council has not, Tammy's here to help us understand how we walk through that process. So Tammy, I hope I did you justice in that. If you go ahead and start us off with item 6C, the request for waiver of application fee.
Okay, well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item before you tonight is a request from Jason and Tara Rudis and Erica Isabel to waive the fee for an appeal of a hearing examiner's decision. This fee is $500. Ms. Isabel and the Rudises requested a variance. The variance went before the hearing examiner, and the hearing examiner issued a condition of approval. The Rudises and Ms. Isabel request to appeal this decision to City Council, and they've also requested a waiver of the application fee. Ms. Isabel states that she's a single mother, full-time student, and is unable to afford the fee, and that the fee creates a barrier for her to present her case to the City Council. When we adopted the fee schedule in 2015, it allowed for a waiver of fees under certain circumstances, and the council can waive the fee when the applicant can show that the appeal fee would create the financial hardship, that the fee is a barrier to public fairness, that the fee would show overriding public interest, or the appellant is a nonprofit. So at this time, the council can waive the fee pursuant to the resolution 561, which is our fee schedule, if the council determines the applicant meets the requirements, or you can request further documentation, or you can deny the fee waiver request. In my screen.
Questions first from Councilmember Blair, then DePinto.
I tried to find this one in the packet and I couldn't after going through the hundreds of pages. So could we get, I'm not 100% clear on what the variance is for that's being applied for.
Okay, the variance was heard before the hearing examiner, and the variance, the appeal for the variance will be discussed in the process and then in the appeal hearing. At this point, the item before you is to the request to waive the appeal fee to present to you.
I mean, what are they applying to not have to pay a fee for? I guess, am I asking the question right?
Okay, so the process is the variance request was heard by the hearing examiner, and the hearing examiner issued his decision.
What do they
the
want?
applicant has the right to appeal that decision, and okay.
Yeah, I understand that.
Record regarding.
Tammy, I'm going to break in here because your audio is really inconsistent, and I can answer James's question. The appellant is asking for a waiver of the $500 appeal fee, that the council can grant that waiver, so that they can then present their appeal to the hearings examiner's decision that was issued in November. So right at this point, you're just being asked to consider waiving the $500 fee so the Rudis family can move forward with their appeal to council.
And I'm probably fine with it. What I mean is, I don't know what did the hearing examiner, what were they determining? That's what I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
We'll move into that in the next phase of this.
Like what went to the hearing?
So two things. First off, the package was complete, and if you'd like, we could spend the time to bring this up and scroll through screen sharing. But folks, if you have problems acquiring your packet prior to the meeting, please let us know beforehand so we can try to resend it out to you or get you a paper copy so that you can be ready for these discussions. The second thing is, James, we are simply looking at waiving the $500 appeal fee that we have in our fee structure. And then secondly, Tammy's going to walk you through the entire, what the appeal is about, what the hearings examiner decided, why the family is appealing that decision, and what the process the council has to follow to discuss that.
Okay, I got the packet. I read through it the best I could, but
We're going to be going through it more fully here in just a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I was searching through hundreds of pages trying to find that specific part. That's what I said, is I wasn't able to find that in there.
Okay, is that clear now though?
Now, my question was, why don't we have the discussion about what it is first and then decide whether to vote on the variance? I mean, as of right now, all I understand is we're voting to, or possibly voting to waive a fee for an appeal, but I have no idea what the appeal is about.
So, yeah.
If I could jump in, what the appeal about has nothing to do. It's not a criteria for approval, whether you waive the fee or not. The criteria for waiving the fee, Tammy went over very specifically, told you what they've said, the family said, as which one of those they meet, and given you the options to act on that request. This has to be done before you can even get to the next step.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with it, so I'll move to approve their waiver.
Okay, well, before I can go to you, Councilmember DePino, I've just heard a motion from Councilmember Blair. We can enter into more discussion after that motion is acted on. Is there a second to Councilmember Blair's motion?
Second.
Councilmember DePino. Second by DePinto? Yes? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Blair, to answer. So first of all, I understand your frustration. This is on page 372 of 434. 434 pages that we're expected to read for this agenda. I mean, I understand. Yeah, I understand how you can get lost in this. It was very difficult for me to find as well. In the future, is there any way we can either get these agendas more than 4 days in advance, or have less than 400 pages of documents to read through? I mean, this is pretty crazy. To answer your question, James, or excuse me, Councilmember Blair, the short answer is she, and this is what it says here. I don't know why you all didn't answer Councilmember Blair directly. She requested a variance for an expansion of the driveway. It's because of disability for a wheelchair use, is what I understood from it, reading through it. Miss Isabel wrote a very nice little letter to the city asking for this variance because she has, which is one of the qualifications, is a financial hardship due to being a full-time student, being a mother, and having just a lot of hardship. So I think this is a pretty easy case for us to go ahead and waive the $500 fee for. And I would urge a yes vote from the city council.
So just
James, I'm going to have to
Councilmember-
ask. I'm going to have to ask you to wait your turn again because Councilmember Kaminsky has her hand up for discussion.
sorry.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I thought we already waived this or agreed to waive it. Am I thinking of another situation?
Tammy
Well,
or Grant?
I hope my internet holds up for you. Yes. The Rudices did apply for a waiver to the appeal fee to bring their variance request to the hearing examiner. That appeal fee was $2,000, and council did waive that fee last fall. I believe it was in September or October.
All right, Councilmember Blair.
Okay, so this is the same situation as before, and basically what it boils down to is it's the city's rules about how wide someone's driveway can be. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to get the vote going on this, and then have discussions at our next study session about reviewing those rules and why they're there.
Okay, the discussion right now should be germane to the motion that you made, the second about the waiver of the fee. So is there any more discussion about the waiver of the fee? Councilmember DePino.
I just asked that Grant Beck mutes his microphone when he grunts
Noted.
in disgust.
Whatever you heard doesn't necessarily need to be brought to everybody's attention a second time. So council, before you is a motion and a second and discussion on the question of waiver of the $500 fee to appeal the hearings examiner's decision. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then the waiver of the fee is granted. And now we will move on. And unfortunately, Grant, I may have to ask you to step in on Tammy's behalf because of the inconsistencies of her internet connection and the complexity of this issue. Would you be able to do that?
Yeah, it's not that complex. Before we do that, though, I would point out on this share screen for future reference, Lori bookmarks all the agenda items in Adobe. So when you open it up in your Adobe Reader or your web browser, you can actually jump right to each of the agenda items. So she spends a lot of time making that easy to navigate around in.
Thank you for pointing that out. And if council members need to have some help practicing with that, IT can help. It's something that you have to learn and get comfortable with these PDF and these drop downs, especially if you're using like a smartphone or a tablet. It's different on each platform, but it does make it nice to be able to go through those bookmarks and helps you hone in on that section of the agenda that you're looking for. And I'll just also add that the reason that there are 434 pages to this is partially why the fees are kind of steep at the beginning of these because of the amount of work that the staff has to do along with the hearings examiner fees. But I'm very happy that we also have an ability to waive the fee for people who can't afford those. So thank you for taking care of the customer in that way. And now Grant, if you would lead us through the staff report on closed record hearing process.
Right. So Tammy's provided for you the record that was created at the hearing examiner. The reason, partly, as Mayor Foster alluded to, the reason for the size of the project, other than bid documents being included in it, is that the council's review of the appeal is limited to the record created before the hearing examiner. So there'll be no new evidence, no new testimony. It's a review of the record that the hearing examiner reviewed to make his decision, and then apply the standard of review for whether that decision was appropriate under the criteria of the Unified Development Code. So she's provided for you the documents that were provided to the hearing examiner for the appeal variance request, the hearing examiner's decision, the staff reports, the public hearing itself with all the testimony in favor and opposition to the issuance of the variance can be found on our YouTube channel, and you will need to review that before the council's hearing in order to take action on the record. So the, there we go. Am I still sharing?
No.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So the process, the council's role in this is to look at specific errors of either fact or procedural errors or omissions from the record, or errors in interpreting the code by the hearing examiner. So you'll be reviewing what they submitted, what the staff analyzed, all the testimony from other parties, and then applying those facts and the criteria to the decision. At the bottom line, you need to determine whether the examiner's decision was legally correct and whether it was supported by substantial evidence. Yep, And so, yeah, just to summarize, at the closed record hearing itself, the staff will just present basically the facts of the situation, what came about. We will not be analyzing the hearing examiner's analysis of the application or the decision. And then the parties will be able to give a presentation on the why it was legally correct or incorrect of the examiner's decision, and then the council will consider and make a determination on the appeal itself. So by way of some background, because this is the first one we've had for many years, as development hasn't been happening as much as in the past, the Growth Management Act under the regulatory reform system doesn't allow us to have two open record hearings. We're limited to a single public hearing where everybody gets to testify on any land use application, development permit application. So in situations where the decision is an administrative decision, like building permits or administrative site plan reviews, that open record hearing would be heard by the hearing examiner. And then the subsequent appeal is an appeal on the record to the city council. So that's a provision of state law that we can only have one open record hearing. So that's the process that's coming up at your next regular meeting. The record is in your packet, the written record. We'll ask you to watch the video of the hearing examiner's hearing so you can see the discussion and deliberation as well. And this matter will be before you at the next regular meeting.
Any questions for Grant on this process that the council needs to follow to do this closed record review? Okay, this was informational. And again, the packet, there's only actually 45 pages in your packet that are pursuant to this particular item, but it does include all of the addendums, the letters from the homeowners association, the letters from the homeowner, and transcripts of the emails that went back and forth between staff. So council can get and lots of pictures and things. There's lots of information that the council is required to be familiar with if they're going to do justice to this closed record review on the 26th. So it is a large ask of council. This is one of those things that comes along every once in a while that's going to require extra time and effort on your part. Thank you for engaging in that. If you have a chance to go through those materials and you would like to ask specific questions, you can certainly do that of staff or me. I'm very familiar with this case as well and what the staff have done with it. But a reminder that on the 26th, there will be no further testimony. This will be a review of a record that has already been closed. So no new testimony will be entered into. So you'll need to be just really aware of what's been documented so far. Got Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I ask a little bit about what's in that packet right now, or do I have to wait till next meeting? Or
You can ask, sure.
I noticed there was a lot of, and I haven't read through all of those, but I did read through a few of them, and it sounded like a lot of the neighbors, and if you could just say if it's accurate or not, I haven't read through all of them, like I said, that a lot of the neighbors are in favor of it, but the homeowners association is against it. Is that the general gist of it?
You'll see in the record that there's one letter from a neighbor who has no objection to the driveway as it exists right now. And there's several letters from a homeowners association in complaint of and to the owner and to the city in objection to that driveway.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just note that thank you for counting, Mayor Foster, but one of the last appeals we had was Walmart, and I had at least 3 boxes of evidence for you to review. So,
yeah, a little PTSD there. Thanks a lot. Okay, that is the information on that particular item. I want to thank the Rudises for attending tonight, so they can hear what the City Council's questions were, and we'll look forward to more discussion on this item on the 26th. Welcome, Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, sir.
You joined in just in time. And thank you, Tammy, for your work on this. I appreciate it, even though we couldn't get you good internet connection. I do appreciate the work you put in that presentation. We're now at 6E, TCOM Intergovernmental Agreement Update. Chief Stansel.
All right, thank you very much. What I will do, I will share my screen again. Okay, so this is stemming from the TCOM presentation that happened last Tuesday. I won't go over, of course, everything that they presented. I can answer questions if need be, but we're basically here to authorize Mayor Foster to sign the proposed Thurston 911 Communications Amended and Revised Intergovernmental Agreement for Communication Services. And just a little background, in May of 2018, TCOM 911 Admin Board set a goal to review agency bylaws in the IGA to address the ability of the agency to incur debt for the purpose of purchasing a new radio system. This group was established. TCOM was successful in the emergency communication sales use tax measure. It was approved by a count of 73%. What that did was that increased the 1/10 of 1% already previously collected by TCOM and increased it to 0.2 of 1 or 2/10 of 1% for TCOM to incur debt to replace the entire radio system within Thurston County. This was roughly about a $30 million project in which all radio systems currently in use in the county will be upgraded to improve interoperability and, more importantly, to allow agencies to communicate with other agencies outside of Thurston County. Just a little side note, prior to this change, the only way for Yelm, Thurston County to communicate with Pierce County would actually be to communicate through the dispatch system itself, with the inability to speak directly to a Pierce County deputy through our radio system. So it's obviously was a significant safety concern, and that's why TCOM is addressing this. And we will begin the radio transition process beginning probably in the spring and summer of this year. And so with that, why you see a new IGA is because the new funding structure increased from 1/10 to 2/10, and it had not been updated for quite some time. And so there was plenty of legal review of the existing language and just some attempts to make it more current and updated to today's structure. So again, it does not bind us to any financial obligation. It's just renewing the contract with TCOM. So I would be happy to take any questions, and I'll leave the recommendation up there for everyone to look at.
Thank you. Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Good presentation, Chief. My only question really, and I support this, I'm going to vote yes on it. What's the difference? Maybe, I don't know if the mayor wants to answer, or Michael, or maybe you can. What's the difference between the intergovernmental agreement and what we're voting on next, which is the interlocal agreement?
Cody's going to jump in and answer that for you.
Thanks, Cody.
Yeah, so the interlocal agreement is an agreement specifically, and I'll talk about this in just a second, for some kind of access or something. So in this case, the one we're talking about next will be for them using our water tower.
That makes sense. Okay.
And I'll talk about that in a bit.
All right, cool. With that, I move to authorize Mayor J.D. Foster to sign the proposed 911 communications amended and restated intergovernmental agreement for communication services.
Second.
Seconded by whom?
Councilmember Wood.
Woods.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. And any opposed? We have the agreement signed. or approved. Thank you, Chief. And so, Cody?
Next up before you is the interlocal agreement for TCOM 911, which is for authorization to move their radio equipment from our old historic water tower to the water tower located at the Public Works facility on Roten Road. This has been something that's been in the work for a while. The reason we're having an interlocal agreement is, one, they also put our dishes up. So what they'll do is when they go up and put up their radio antennas and whatnot, they will take up some of our IT equipment and run a cable up for our IT guys and let us use their box as kind of a station for our IT equipment. So that's why we have an agreement with them. They use our tower. We get a benefit of them also housing our equipment and running it up for us. So it's just moving the equipment from where it is at downtown historic tower to the well here. I'll be happy to answer any questions and talk about it if you need to. Yes, Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Public Works Director and Mayor. I was wondering, again, this is a good report, good, makes sense. The location of this, do you say it's going to be on our new water tower at Roten Road?
It's the newer water tower. It's not the one on Southwest, not the one down by Tahoma Boulevard. This is the one on, the Public Works facility that you visited a couple of times. So
is it going to be, is it going to be quite the eyesore that it was on the other one, or is it going to look a little bit better?
it'll look like a couple antennas off the top. It won't be, I wouldn't say it's an eyesore, but it's, you're not gonna be like, that looks awesome, but it is convenient location, and I'll do my best to make it look nice.
The other one's just, I mean, you've seen it. It's yeah. All right. Thanks.
I'll be happy to answer any other questions as well about this.
Yeah, it just came to mind, actually, Cody, why the water tower at Public Works rather than the higher tower up on the hill?
Couple reasons. Reason one is the central location of this tower is the tower up on the hill is kind of away from everything. This one is centrally located. We can have a Public Works facility that kind of protects it, and generator can tie into it, which is another thing. The Southwest well does have a generator, but there's not an active staff at that Southwest well in case there was an issue. We couldn't help out in any way, shape, or form. So
good answer. Thank you. Councilmember Pino again.
One short one. Is there any financial impact to the city for this?
It actually benefits. We don't have to pay someone to go up and run our own equipment up there. So we're saving money. That's all I'm about, is saving money for you. So
well, with that, I'm gonna move to authorize Mayor Foster to sign an interlocal agreement with the TCOM 911, allowing use of facilities at 901 Roten Road to provide emergency services.
Tracy Woods.
Oh, Tracy Wood got in on you, James. Guys got to be quicker. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I see that none are opposed. How many times have you wanted to vote aye, Cody?
Almost every time.
Old habits are hard to break.
Almost every time.
All right, very good. Great work tonight. A lot of stuff moving forward on the city. Thank you, Council. We don't have any old business scheduled, so we're going to jump right into department heads. If anybody wanted to stretch, maybe get a cup of coffee or before Michael starts. Councilmember Wood?
I just want to let you know I actually have another delivery I've got to take, but I will. I know we have an executive session this evening. It shouldn't take me long to do this, and then I will come back and either be in here with you guys or jump into the executive session.
Is there anything you would like to say on your update just real quickly before you go?
The only meeting I had was TCOM, and I think you guys have probably heard everything that I would be telling you about it, because it was more of the same that we got the day before the meeting at the study session. So, I mean, if you'd like, we can go over it again.
No, that's good.
Otherwise, I've got Transportation Policy Board at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yay. Okay, just note that when you come back, we'll probably be in the executive session, which is a different link for you to get into.
Certainly.
And then we won't be reconvening on the regular meeting.
Understood.
Okay.
Hopefully
Safe travels, sir.
Thank you.
All right, council member. We just keep forgetting who you are, Michael. City Administrator, Michael Graham.
I'm just happy to be here. Good evening, council. Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep this quick. Just a couple of points of interest for you that I know you're interested in, and a couple good general updates for the public. and then I'm going to highlight the topics at our next 2 meetings so you can have a preview of that ahead. The first thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the O-Court software. This is our online video arraignment system integration process. It's a new system, and it was rolled out earlier this week. And from all accounts from Sonia, it went swimmingly. We're going to do an after action review, which is something that we started doing just to look for opportunities for improvement. But this is a big thing that's been coming, that the goal is to improve customer service for not only our customers that are on trial and facing different issues before the judicial system, but also our attorneys and those that they represent. And it also integrates with the new video arraignment system for our customers at the jail that we serve, which actually helps the defendants, and it helps our police officers reducing transport time back and forth. So the intent of it is really good. I've heard good things from the rollout. Like I said, we're going to do an after action review because that's what we do for any time that we have a new system, and we'll see how we continue to improve it going forward. But bottom line is it's a big change, and it's real positive, and this has been on our goal list for a while, and it's nice to see that getting implemented. Also, just a public service announcement for those folks that are thinking about getting passports. Right now, there's a rush for these services. We're doing schedules in advance just for the convenience of customers and managing COVID. And we are booked out until February 10th. So if anyone that's watching or listening to this wants to get a passport, that's something to plan ahead for and make sure that you schedule well in advance. Just good operational updates. Today is Cody's infamous Training Tuesday. All of our Public Works employees are now certified as flaggers. And this will actually help. You may recall talking about and hearing about the plan with the chief and the Public Works Department, making sure that everyone is flag trained, not only for issues that require flagging, but when the I-5 shuts down and we need to move people expeditiously through Yelm, this is going to help actually having Public Works Department and the Police Department working together, moving folks through those intersections that can get congested. So it's a real positive thing. We're also continuing the customer service cross-training and other cross-training in Public Works Department with our water and other team members, making sure that we're as efficient as possible and as responsive as possible for customers. So lots of cross-training. As you knew, that was on our goal list this year, and we're starting off strong with that. The last thing I wanted to share is some of you have had an interest in establishing a exchange location. That has been determined. There's going to be 2 spots. Both of them are going to be out in front of the police department, and we're putting the finishing touches on that, and we will publish that when the signs are posted and that's officially completed. But wanted you to know that that's in the works and should be wrapped up soon. Yes, Councilmember DePino.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Mayor Foster and Michael Ram, for getting this done. I know it's a priority for a lot of folks on City Council, and thank you for bringing it to fruition.
You're welcome.
Yep. And to give true credit where true credit is due, it's the folks from the police department, all across the board there, the customer service team and the department leadership and the Public Works and the IT team that all put their heads together to figure out, where we have cameras, where would be, we can't call them safe exchanges, right? We had to take that out because we can't guarantee safety, but they are exchange locations that are in the safest environment possible that we could provide for people. So yeah, thank you for that. And we'll let you know when that's pushed out, and we'll send an email out to council and put it on social media as well. Just to give you a preview of the next 2 meetings. So on January 26th, we're gonna have the downtown water building modifications for the downtown well. That's something that you heard about at your last meeting. So that'll be up as an action item. We'll have the joint animal services contract that will become official. They're doing a dry run starting tonight just to actually start taking over our systems and integrate with our Public Works facilities that we have out there. But that joint animal services contract, the PSA, will be on the docket for your January 26th meeting. We'll also have the Teamsters Union contract, Student of the Month, the closed record appeal that you just heard about, the legal services modifications that the contract that the Finance Committee recommended, And it was something that was discussed as part of the budget, but not necessary to modify there. We'll have to do an addendum to the contract first, and then we'll do a Q1 quarterly adjustment. And then there is a acquisition item for discussion, for action on your docket. And then just a heads up for the study session, 2 kind of educational discussion points. One is just going over enterprise funds. We're going to have our public works director kind of walk through do's and don'ts of enterprise funds, what we can use them for, what we can't, how they're applied. We just came off the budget and there was a lot of questions about that. And so thought we'd drill down a little bit deeper. This is something that the finance committee thought would be helpful, that they got into the weeds on, and thought it'd be good for the general council discussion. And then the second thing is, we have a committee discussion. Every year the council, looks at committees and committee assignments and things of that sort. And we've heard interest from several of you saying, hey, I want to change up, or others have said, hey, I want to stay the course of where we're at. And you all just adopted the protocol manual. And so we're just going to leave it open for you to have a discussion of what you want to do with those committee assignments and what that next horizon looks like. And so really just an open conversation with you about what's next and what that looks like for you all. And then on the 9th, that's when we'll have the community garden update that I know some of you have been looking forward to, and then ILA with the Regional Housing Council, which is something that you may hear about from your peers in the legislature and folks down in other cities. This is a housing agreement that has to be updated, as some cities have fallen off of their commitment for that, and others are reaffirming their commitment with affordable housing. So we'll dive into those details, but that's what's on the horizon for the next 2 meetings ahead. Any questions, council?
Michael, I'd like Cody to give a little bit more information on joint animal services, please, so folks know what that's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mayor. So as you guys know, and Public Works Committee, we've talked about this quite a bit. Joint Animal Services, which is responsible for Lacey, Tumwater, Olympia, and most of Thurston County. We've been in talks with them to kind of take things over here because they just provide such a great service for things that we couldn't do ourselves. The contract will come before council next council meeting, but at this point, starting 2 hours ago, they are doing a test run to do these next couple of weeks to make sure everything works out, to make sure there's no kinks, anything we can get done before that contract comes before you. So if anyone calls the city, they'll just follow the normal procedure where they'll press the animal control button. It'll link them to Joint Animal Services, who will respond to those calls. It's just a great opportunity for the city in terms of services that can be provided, people that are trained specifically for dogs, and now they can handle cats and other 4-legged creatures. So before the city couldn't handle cats, now you can have that. So if you have a cat issue or anything, horse, they can handle, they will respond to those calls, which is just great and help providing a service for all of city and the county, who now when someone calls, they don't have to be like, am I in city limits or am I not? You can just call this one number and not have to worry about it. So it's pretty awesome.
But have they ever had to handle a capybara?
Yeah, one chupacabra, I've heard.
A chupacabra. We actually had capybaras running loose over on the side of town there for a couple of summers.
Yeah.
It's Yelm. We got some cool stuff out here. Thanks, Cody. We'll expect to hear more from you coming up. Michael, anything else? Thank you. Councilmember Blair.
I don't have any updates today.
Okay. We wish Councilmember Carmody well, and hope Councilmember Curry's safe travels. Councilmember Stillwell.
Yes, last week we were able to review some of the applications, or all the applications, for the CMIT. A lot of great people. I'm sure the mayor will talk about that a little more. And I was also able to attend the Planning Yelm Economic Board that we sit on with Councilmember Kaminsky and DePinto, and we're able to talk about wayfinding signs, which is pretty cool, and kind of referred it back to the people that helped design or get the ideas for the corridor plan, so we could marry up with what they felt fit within that plan, and then we could talk about it as council. So that was kind of exciting. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. We did get the update from Councilmember Wood, and we'll expect more about the TPV at the next meeting. Councilmember DePinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just same meeting as Councilmember Stovall discussed. That was literally the only thing on the or the agenda really. Looking forward to those signs. I think they'll help advertise some of the spots here in Yelm, give travelers and visitors a little more easier access to us and where we're at, stuff like that. Looking forward to the designs that we get back, and as the whole council can, the full council can decide on what we do and all that. So looking forward to that. The only thing I had a question from and also I talked with a few different constituents this week. One of them being Tim's Pharmacy regarding their drive-through window process or wanting to build a drive-through in the middle of downtown, which currently you can't do because of current regulations. I let them know that the Planning Commission is reviewing that, and we'll be in the upcoming months we'll be discussing it and making a recommendation to City Council. And he was very, very excited to hear about that. They're putting their renovations on hold just for this, because that would be a major impact for their renovations, and that's something that they really want to do. And so I'm just happy and excited that we can, as City Council and Mayor, can give that a little, I know what you want to call it, a little more, something a little more grounded for them so they can plan for the future. And other than that, I just had a question regarding annexation. Another constituent asked, he's actually not a constituent. He lives just outside the city limits, but in their urban growth, and he's hoping to become a resident though. Was wondering, he told me that there were some annexation moratoriums currently, and I told him I didn't think there was, but I would check with the planning department. And I was wondering if I could have an answer on that, if there's any moratoriums or anything that would prevent someone from building or not building, but being annexed into the city regarding like water hookups or anything that would prevent them from being annexed by a vote of the City Council.
Grant, do you want to give a 30-second response to that and then queue it up for a larger presentation at an upcoming study session?
Sure. There's a policy currently in the adopted water system plan, Cody's water system plan, that limits annexations unless the property in question brings their own water. That is a policy, not a moratorium, not a regulation. That the council decided very recently that policy didn't apply to the Furman, I think it was, the annexation, and they could again. The reason for that policy though is going away here shortly, as we've got our water rights application before ecology and expect it to be approved, and that was the sole reason for that in the water system plan.
Thank you, Grant. Is a good explanation. Is there a process that they need to fill out similar to Ms. Furman that did it?
Yeah, they just direct them to Tammy and she can connect them up with the petition process.
Okay, sounds good. Yep. Thank you very much.
Unless they know Debbie, then she could just walk them through it.
And she's probably available for consulting.
Yeah, get your fee structure ready, Debbie. Might get some work coming. Good
Thank
question.
You.
And I know that Grant also has roughed out a future plan dependent on water rights acquisition to smooth out the rough edges of our city limits through the annexation of properties within the urban growth management boundaries. So you'll be seeing.
And actually, while we're chatting about it, I was just wondering, is there any updates on that, on our water rights we could hear about? Just a quick 30 seconds.
Well, go ahead, Grant.
No.
It's the same place that it was. Yeah. So
do we have a timeline perhaps? Or just...
I'm looking at our agenda document here for future meetings. We are planning an overview. Short version is we're still waiting to hear back from ecology, so we don't have any details at this point, but we are optimistically planning on giving a water rights overview update on March 2nd for your study session meeting.
So
but to be full disclosure, we planned on doing that for February 2nd, and because we haven't heard from ecology, we kicked that out a month. So we're optimistic with that March date.
The latest news that we have is still from the ecology's presentation to the Joint Legislative Task Force, and they expected to have the notice of decision this summer.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Very good. That comes down to me. So on the 12th, I was chairing the Thurston Regional Planning Council meeting. We had 18 regional members there and reviewed presentations, a couple of which were interesting to bring back to council. One was from the State Broadband Office, which was a recently created 2019 office. Their goal is to improve access to broadband for all residents of the state of Washington. Their goal is that by 2024, the state will have the majority of individuals able to access internet at the least speeds of 25 megabytes per second up or down rather in 3 Mbps up. By 2026 to have 1,000 Mbps available to anchor institutions like schools and libraries. So they're working with everyone. They showed quite an interesting map, and if you go to their state webpage, you can see some really interesting data on broadband availability. But they are working with municipalities and school districts and even SpaceX, who recently was able to give the Ho tribe overnight access when they clicked it on to 100 megabytes per second per household, which is pretty amazing. Another presentation was from the Climate Mitigation Plan from TRPC that is going to be reviewed and adopted by the urban core cities and then adopted by the Sustainable Thurston Group. And interesting, just one piece of data was that we're on track to reduce our emissions from the 2013 levels by 25%, and they're hoping to get a reduction of 45% from 1990 by 2030. So we'll see, and we're on track to do that, which is interesting. Then today, attended the Yelm Chamber of Commerce Forum, and I really recommend attending those. Very good information. This presenter, Amanda Beck, spoke about goal setting. And the salient moment that came out of that for me, she cited a book by Tom Speaks called The Ultimate Metaphor for Personal Growth, The Bamboo Tree. Because you see, when you plant a tall bamboo tree seed, it actually sits in the soil for up to 5 years without doing a thing. They have to water it, keep the temperature just right, and then all of a sudden, it germinates. And it will grow 30 feet in a 24-hour period, and then end up with its ultimate growth of 90 feet or more. And the metaphor is that oftentimes the planning that we do, the work that we put into projects it's not seen by anybody for years and years and years, but we keep working on them, we keep them alive, and then suddenly when we achieve them, they're visible and then appreciated by all. So those are our bamboo seeds. Lastly, the construction on the community garden in City Park begins this Saturday with a closed volunteer work party comprised of veterans who are working with Grub, who is providing all the materials to build some raised beds. That'll happen this Saturday. They're also being supported by the local groups like Bounty for Families, think Farmers Market, and a lot of support from our city staff, Cody's Public Works team. But this is all volunteer and thus far all funded by private donation and volunteer work. So it's really nice to see a major element of our Parks Committee plan coming to fruition, if I may, with the building up of the first stage of the community garden. And this is going to be up within the fenced area that you see in the park. It's going to be up on that cement slab where we used to have some liantus that were torn down. So you can see more of that on the city webpage and on the Grub page and the community Bounty for Families page. So that is all I have. Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned earlier SpaceX and Starlink. I would love to see, I know it wouldn't really impact us here in the city limits, but outside city limits towards Clearwood or Lake Lawrence, as you know, there isn't really broadband out there. There's or not high-speed internet access. They have internet, but it's not as good as they deserve. And I've heard great reviews about this SpaceX, the Starlinks, that they're working with small communities, they're working with rural communities to provide internet for them. If there's any way we could help them out, or encourage SpaceX to look at Yelm, some of our rural residents here, I would love to explore that possibility. I don't know what it would take, but I'd love to work with Michael or yourself or whoever to kind of make that happen if we could.
Well, at this point, it takes a creation of a new state office called the Broadband Access Office. That is, I asked the exact same question. He brought the map up. It showed how bad the connections are that we know are bad out at Clearwood and Lawrence Lake and down into Rainier. And those are some of the opportunities that they're looking at, making those connections between companies like SpaceX, but also working with Wycom, Consolidated rather, and the local providers to try to see what can the state do, what can we do together to provide the access. Obviously, in places that are more urban, they're looking at the 5G stuff. Sorry, Terry, not coming to a neighborhood near you soon. But in the more rural districts, they're going to look at things like SpaceX and fiber cable. So they're on it.
Is it prohibited currently? Because I thought there was some in Washington D.C. or not Washington D.C. in Washington and southern Canada.
Well, they made it happen out at the Ho tribe, but there again, working with the tribe, they were able to work out outside some of those limitations. But with a successful model like that, they were very excited at the state level to say, hey, look, if this is working, we got to figure out a way to make it work for more people.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I saw another question, Councilmember Kaminsky.
I just wanted to add, I have no updates.
Oh, did I do that to you again?
Yes.
I was going to save the best for last.
It's okay. I was an invisible bamboo tree tonight.
You know what, Terry? Next time, I'm gonna reverse the order. I'm gonna put you up first.
Okay.
That's just not fair to you.
That had been the funniest thing Councilmember Kaminsky said in a long time.
So, but with all that, you still have no report.
I still have no report. I'm not making one up. So there you go.
All right. Thank you all. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Oh,
Executive
Councilmember
session now?
Michael, we're going to move. Yeah, right. We're going to move from this. If you'll go back to your emails, you'll find another link to the executive session. But for the attendees, this is the end of the city council meeting, 7:21 p.m. And there is no other action taken by council tonight after the executive session. So we'll see you all on the 26th.
I got you, Michael.
All right.